bound not to men but to God. Elms Haven Sanitarium, California, August 4, 1903. Elder A.G. Daniels. My dear brother, yesterday I sent you the letter containing the warning that has been given again and again. The workers in our sanitariums are not to sign contracts binding themselves to an association or an institution for a certain number of years. They are to be bound not to men but to God. No man is to treat those who learn under him as if he owned him, body, soul, and spirit. The Lord wants no such binding up with human beings, even if these human beings are without blame. There are those who are not holding the beginning of their confidence firm to the end. The gospel ministry and medical missionary work are to be united. I have recently been instructed that no one should be advised to pledge himself to spend 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 years under any man's tuition. Brethren, we have no time for this. Time is short. We are to hold out urgent inducements for the men who ought to be engaged in missionary work for the Master. The highways and byways are yet unworked. The Lord calls for young men to labor as canvassers and evangelists, to do house-to-house work in places that have not yet heard the truth. God speaks to our young men, saying, Ye are not your own, for ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. The Lord must be given an opportunity to show men their duty and to work upon their minds. No one is to bind himself to serve under the direction of any human being, for the Lord himself will call men as of old. He called the humble fishermen, and will himself give them the education he desires them to have. He will call men from the plow and from other occupations to give the last note of warning to perishing souls. There are many ways in which to work for the Master, and the great teacher will open the understanding of these workers, enabling them to see wondrous things in his word. The signs that show Christ's coming is near are fast fulfilling. The Lord calls for canvassers and evangelists. Those who will go forth to this work under his direction will be wonderfully blessed. Let our churches be guarded. Let our people work intelligently, not under the rule of any man, but under the rule of God. Let them stand where they can follow the will of God. Their service belongs to him. Their capabilities and talents are to be refined, purified, ennobled. In this lower school, the school of earth, they are to be prepared for translation into the school of heaven, where their education will be continued under the personal supervision of Christ, the great teacher who will lead them beside the living waters and open to them the mysteries of the kingdom of God. Those who in this life do their best will obtain a fitness for the future immortal life. The Lord calls for volunteers who will take their stand firmly on his side and will pledge themselves to unite with Jesus of Nazareth in doing the very work that needs to be done now, just now. There are many young men and young women among us who, if inducements are held out, would naturally be inclined to take several years' course of study at Battle Creek. But will it pay? Has not the Lord some practical work to do in missionary lines? Manly young men will be needed to enter the printing office when it is established in Washington to learn the printer's trade. Our publications are to be prepared to go forth to the world. Canvassers are to be educated to take up the work of circulating these publications. Our books and papers are to go to places that are still in the darkness of error. The Lord calls upon young men to enter our schools. Schools are to be established in which our youth can receive an education that will prepare them to go forth to do evangelical work and medical missionary work. Let schools be established out of the cities. I call upon all to fasten themselves to Christ. He invites them, Come unto me. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Let us not be in any way deceived. Let us realize the weakness of humanity and see where man fails in his self-sufficiency. We will then be filled with a desire to be just what God desires us to be, pure, noble, sanctified. We shall hunger and thirst after the righteousness of Christ. To be like God will be the one desire of the soul. This is the desire that filled Enoch's heart, and we read that he walked with God. He studied the character of God to a purpose. He did not mark out his own course, nor set up his own will, as if he thought himself fully qualified to manage matters. He strove to conform himself to the divine likeness. A school such as has been planned for should be in some place where the students would not be closely associated with the large numbers who are expected to patronize the sanitarium at Battle Creek. It is not wise to plan to maintain such a school in a place where a worldly element prevails to so great an extent as to counterwork that which the Lord has outlined should be done for our youth and our educational institutions. So many youths should not be brought together in Battle Creek. The Lord presented to us the reasons for removing the college from Battle Creek. This instruction should now be searched out and studied by those who are planning to organize another educational institution there. Let the light already given shine forth in its purity and beauty, that God's name may be glorified. E.G. White.